The first thing that I really encourage folks is you need to share your story, because that story and who you are is the one thing no one else can replicate. That is what makes you stand out from anyone else. And that is also how we connect with our guests. So it's not just more of, hey, we love the lake, I grew up here, so we decided to build a place, and then you guys can stay tuned. It's not that. It's going deeper than that. Now, everybody's got a different comfort level of how much they want to share. But the more you can share, the more connections you make with your guests.
Welcome to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast where we discuss all things hospitality, hotels, and business. You can find us online at slicktalkthepodcast.com and on every podcast listening platform.
What's up, everybody? I'm Will Slickers, the host of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, and this episode specifically is sponsored by my friends at Hostfully. Now, Hostfully is a digital guidebook and property management platform for vacation rental experts and boutique hotel owners. If you want, you can go to their website, hostfully.com, and use my code SlickTalk20, and I'll get you 2 months of free use on their digital guidebook platform, or you'll get $100 off when you go sign up for the property management platform. Now, Hostfully also does great insight and white papers on the industry around the world. And last year in 2020, they released their industry report showcasing what we've learned through the times of COVID-19 and what hosts, managers, and owners alike are looking for as we grow as an industry into the recovery mode here in 2021. Now, I highly recommend you go get this data report. You can hit the link in the show notes, and then it'll take you right to their website where you can download it yourself. And you may see in a couple pages in the expert report some expert insights from your one and only truly Will Slickers. Now, I highly recommend you guys go check it out. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And now back to Slick Talk. All right, everybody, welcome back to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and today I have a lovely guest who is named Tyann Marcink-Hammond. Welcome to the show. I'm super glad to have you on. I've been watching you for like maybe the last year. We kind of have been in the same circle through, the short-term rental industry, seeing your name quite often. So I figured it was just a natural thing to happen to get you on the podcast. So I'm really glad to have you here. And it's just been an exciting time to get to know you a little bit.
Thank you, Will. I really appreciate the invite and honored to be here.
Of course. So tell us where you're located and kind of a little bit about who Tyann is.
Sure. So I am located in Missouri, United States. And I am 6th generation where I live. So my great-great-great-grandfather moved here and named the little tiny town of Lyon in Lyon, Missouri, after General Lyon in the Civil War. Had a stone house built. My brother, every generation has lived in that stone house. My brother's there, and just grew up in this area. And a lot of people don't, they look at me, they're like, Missouri, okay, that's middle of the country, that's backwoods, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I start talking about the magicalness of this area, and more people are realizing it. The Missouri Visit Mo destination for the state has been doing a really good job about getting the magic of Missouri out there too. And so I just love being able to bring people in and into our different properties and creating those spaces for them. But the way I got started in vacation rentals is my aunt and uncle one year decided, hey, we're going to buy this house down at Table Rock Lake, Branson, Missouri. Mm-hmm. They bought this 4-bedroom house, the largest house available to stay at as a vacation rental. This is, back in, 2005, 2006. So,
okay.
Pre-Airbnb, way back.
Yeah.
And they moved all their personal furniture into this house. And then at home, they would sit on their, I can't think today.
Is it their lawn chairs?
Lawn chairs, yes. Yeah. So they're at home, they're sitting on their lawn chairs. Well, my parents saw the success of what they did and they decided, hey, we're going to sell our commercial apartment buildings and go buy 2 houses down there. And we're going to buy 5-bedroom houses. So now my parents had the largest places. So then the next year, my husband at the time and I decided, hey, let's try this out. Let's take a risk. Let's build a house. So we built our first house, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. And at that time, we were trying to decide, do we sleep 12 people or do we put another sofa sleeper in and sleep 14 people? Well, once you run the numbers, we found out if you sleep more than 12 people, your competition is 12 properties.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, that's what we're doing. Put the extra sofa sleeper in. And 2 years later, we built the 5-bedroom house. My parents, every year, were building 2 houses at a time, reaching up to 7 bedrooms. And just this gradualness. So now my one brother's is in it. Then my youngest brother, who's 19, he just closed on 2 condos. He's in it. In the meantime, the largest houses our family owns is at 10 bedrooms. And so if you count all of our family's houses, who are our direct competition, by the way, we're at almost 20 houses in the area. But if you're also searching for a house that sleeps 12 or more, the competition when I started in 2007 was 12 houses. Now you're looking at over 400 properties.
Oh, wow. What a big growth.
Yeah. So with that and tremendous growth, we're the type of people that we want to stay ahead of everyone else. So at first it was professional photographs. And a lot of people might know me in the industry as the vacation rental photographer. And so I had very quickly learned, professional photographs is what I need. I taught myself how to do it. I started teaching that. And that has kept us at the top of the game. So then after that, we were some of the first to change over to the white linens and the triple sheeting. And what we've learned is the more and more we hone in on who our target guest is and who we are and who our brand is, the more and more successful we are because we're drawing in exactly the guests we want.
That's great. I was going to say the fact that you're doing this in Missouri too, because I've been to Missouri once and it was for basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So no offense, I have not seen the magic you have talked about because I hated my time there. It was horrible.
There is no magic in Fort Leonard Wood. I'm sorry.
No,
I drive past there. I will drive past there in a couple hours on my way down to Branson. There's no magic in Fort Leonard Wood. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it was lots of terror and mud and rain and lightning and then really hot sun and then all of a sudden snow 5 minutes later. So it was just like it was like the year 2020 all in like one 10-week span. It was just like, wow, I can't believe we had that. So I'm just impressed by that because, from that experience of Fort Leonard Wood, and then like how far would you say, your properties in your collection are from that area where the magic really is?
So from where you were at, all you had to do was go down 44 and 65 2 hours later. That's it. Okay. You would have been at Table Rock Lake in Branson. And Branson is considered the live music show capital of the world. There are more theater seats in Branson than Broadway in New York. The caliber of performer rivals Broadway. I've talked to some folks that have left Broadway. The lead choreographer for Wicked left there to come perform in Branson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have Table Rock Lake, which it is a man-made lake, but you can do absolutely any type of water activity, including scuba diving and parasailing. This is where Silver Dollar City is located, which is one of the top 10 theme parks in the country, maybe even one of the top 3, has one of the top 10 Christmas light displays in the country. And Missouri is the cave state as well. So you have all these different caves to explore. You also add in the fact that we are within a day's drive of half the population of the United States. So when you want to get together with your family and everyone says, hey, let's just drive somewhere, where can we go? What destination has anything possible that all the different personalities of a family could want? So you've got the nature activities, you've got the shows activities, you've got the tourist trappings, you have everything. Oh, and you've got Top of the Rock. So I'm sure you've heard of Bass Pro Shops, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Bass Pro Shops started there in the Ozarks, Johnny Morris. So Johnny Morris's Big Cedar Lodge is just a couple miles south of our own properties. And you can actually see Top of the Rock from some of our properties. And
Wow.
up there is the most amazing view of Table Rock Lake. And every evening from March to November, there is the sunset celebration, where as the sun sinks below the horizon, there is a bagpiper who plays, and there is a ceremony, and then everyone cheers to the sunset. And the detail that Johnny Morris has created and taken the naturalness of Missouri and the Ozark Mountains, it rivals Disney. It
Wow.
truly, the detail rivals. So you bring all that together, and then, oh, by the way, Beverly Hillbillies, the first episodes were there at Silver Dollar City. And Ruth and Paul Henning, who created Beverly Hillbillies, fell in love so much with the Ozarks. They bought, I think it's over 300 acres. And there's the Ruth and Paul Henning Conservation Area. And then you have Shepherd of the Hills, which is a book. And that's where all that started. So you'll have to go read it.
This is a huge example of why I wanted you on the show, because all this stuff that you're describing is the perfect example of what we should be doing in the industry. We need to know our area and make, like you described so much, like now I want to go to Missouri. Like I actually want to go. And it's like that. Oh, you just got me so amped up because that's such a good example. Like you literally are describing like the way it should be. You are the destination and you need to know your area. And I think that's like a huge part. You talked about photography and just like being ahead of the game. And I think, we're talking about branding and marketing and knowing like the destination. And this is why I wanted to talk to you. So tell us about your two brands, because I find this really key and really important, especially with 2020. We're on the cusp of the beginning of 2021. We're in the new year. We're in kind of, I think, I can tell, obviously COVID and everything hasn't gone away. It's not like it's a new year, new me type deal. It's still here, but I can tell there's like a refreshing restart, I feel. And you guys have obviously probably gone through some challenges as well with COVID. It's not been easy for anybody, but I think branding and marketing and the way you're describing the destination is super key. And so tell us about your guys' brands and why it's super important for you to have created them and what you've kind of learned along the way.
So in Branson area, we've never had to really market beyond Verbo because so little competition and such high demand that it just wasn't necessary. And then a few years ago, as the competition really ramped up, so several new developments coming in, lots of competition coming in, I realized, okay, it's time for us to stand out more and people to really know who we are. Now, that doesn't mean taking on properties. We didn't know what that would look like, doing beyond what our own properties were, but just the simple fact that we're in direct competition with our own family members, we need to be able to stand out. So, holiday dinners are really fun, not your normal family conversations.
I get it. I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's great.
Yes. So, maybe let's figure out the worst guest story or, what would you do in this situation? But it's on one hand, we're direct competition, literally in the same neighborhood. So we're going after the exact same guest. But on the other hand, we have that built in, I don't want to say bubble, but when you're out there as a vacation rental host or property manager, a lot of times people don't understand what you do. They don't understand the emotional stress you go through or the emotion or the responsibility you have for your guests and for their safety. Do they make it okay? I mean, sometimes you stay up at night waiting to watch your lot code notification coming in that they've arrived. Not everyone understands that. So it's really great to have family right there who understands it, besides my friends in the industry. But as far as branding goes, I didn't have a brand for the longest time, for over a decade. So, I started in 2007. This is my 14th year. I've been around quite a while. We didn't have a brand. Actually, my website was vacationhomeinbranson.com.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so plain.
Yeah.
And so several years ago, I decided it is time for a brand. It's time for an actual logo. It's time to really make things look better and to have more concrete story of who we are and what our mission is and why we do what we do. You know, it's because this isn't just a hobby for us. It's our lifestyle. It's how we support our family. And so that's why I decided Branson Family Retreats, because all of our houses that are our personal houses, they end in the name Retreats, and it's located in Branson, and we target families. So
I would say, simple as that.
Simple as that. And the URL was available.
Oh, wow.
So,
that must have been a battle for the URL there.
yeah. And all the social media, IDs. So it's like, okay, grab the handles, grab the URL. We're there.
How did you know about the handles? That like a lot of people getting into it, like don't even think they're like, obviously the domain's a go-to for a lot of people. Probably my parents wouldn't automatically think to go there, but they're a little bit older. They're in their 60s. So doing what I do is a total like mind blow to them. They're like, what? But like, how'd you like, what made you think I need to get the handles? Because that's, I don't think, a common thought, at least from what I've seen with clients and a few others.
I guess marketing stuff just comes to me naturally. And when I'm putting together a graphic or something, I only want to put one handle, so I'm going to look and make sure I grab the handles and grab ones that make sense and try to match exactly as possible. Yeah. It's just, to me, in my brain, it's common sense, but I know my brain is completely different than anyone else's. Yeah.
No, I agree. Well, so Branson Family Retreats came out from that. Obviously, the domain was available, the handles were created. How did Missouri House? So like they're completely different destinations too. They're not close by. They're not in the same neighborhood as most of your family, I'm assuming, from that family dinner. So when did that start to come into creation as well?
So Missouri House happened because, like a lot of times, it's accidental. So my husband and I divorced, and in the divorce, I said, I only want my vacation rental properties. You take everything else. It doesn't matter to me, because we had long-term rentals and, all the risk was spread. He was very conservative, and try to keep things like that. And it didn't happen that way. I ended up with 2 other properties in my local hometown. And one of them I kept as a long-term rental. The other one, the small one, I kept it a little bit as a long-term rental. Then I found out that the tenants were dealing drugs. And I was like, no, I cannot be a drug landlord. Nope. Not happening. Nope. And Missouri is really, really good for landlords, especially if your tenants do something illegal. All you have to do, you go to your local prosecuting office, tell them what's happened. Here's the police report. Within days, you can have your tenant out.
Oh, nice.
So the sheriff I got this done on a Friday. The sheriff calls me on Monday and says, hey, you ready to go over there and kick them out? I'm like, oh, it happened this fast. Okay. No, I do not have the manpower to do this. Do you mind posting a note on their front door and say they have until 10 a.m. Wednesday, and then I will meet you at 10 a.m. Wednesday? Because no problem. They post a note on the door, and tenants out by 10 a.m. It was great. But
pretty fast.
It was fast. However, it cost about $10,000 to make the house livable again. And at that point, I thought, we have absolutely 0 short-term rentals or vacation rentals in our town. If you need a place to stay, you either stay with family or you stay in the Super 8. And the Super 8 is located in a floodplain. And in the first floor has been flooded at least twice. So maybe we should try this. Put another 2,000 into it, take a test for 6 months. If that doesn't happen, I can easily get it rented long-term or sell it. Not a big deal.
Do you comp the area using like AirDNA or all the rooms? Like what was kind of giving you that insight of just, you knew the area, there's nobody there?
My God, there was nobody there, literally no one there. So there was no comps, period.
Gotcha.
So I had to look at, okay, will there be a demand? Who is the demand even going to be? Mm-hmm. We had the first green industrial park in the state. So I thought, okay, where is a business traveler going to stay when they come to this industrial park? Because we had international organizations in our industrial park. Where are these people staying? Well, they're driving 45 minutes to a nice hotel. That's the closest place they could go.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, this is worth a 6-month test. And, I've got the places in Branson. They're holding their own. Well, they're not holding their own. They've cash flowed since the beginning. I mean, yeah. So I'm like, we can do this. And I thought, okay, I don't plan to do more in my hometown area because this isn't my, forte. Branson's my forte.
Yeah.
But Alana Schroeder, the distinguished guest, my best friend in the industry, she said, Tyann, don't corner yourself. Don't box yourself up. You need to make sure your website and your property name and your brand name is something that can grow. So even though you're naming the house Hoover House, create a brand name and put that on your website, even if it's just one house.
Gotcha.
I'm like, okay. So
Smart
I did that.
Smart advice. And
so
I know
smart.
I know who you're talking about too with the distinguished guests like that. Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good golden nugget she gave you.
Absolutely. Because after I got that going and realized, hey, Purina Farms Event Center, you know the name Purina, right?
No, not off the top of my head right now.
Dog food, cat food.
Yep. Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, Bob.
So, yep. Purina is based in St. Louis, Missouri. Their event center is 12 minutes from where we live. Okay. They hold national dog competitions back to back from March through November every year.
Wow. Okay.
These
back to back.
events,
That's a long time.
Events are scheduled up to 5 years in advance.
Yeah, that's so good. That's like 5 years of constant bookings.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have people booking well in a year in advance to come stay in the area. And so it's like, okay, we're dog friendly. We get the business travelers. We are getting mainly the dog show people. And then, of course, we've got the neighbors needing family places to stay, people going floating. Floating is a huge deal in our area. And then you got the wine country really close by, 15 minutes north of us. So this 6-month test became concrete. It's like, okay, we're not doing anything else. We're keeping this. We're doing this.
Did you know before 6 months? Was it like month 2 and you're like, yeah, this is it? Or
pretty much.
Pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, I mean, when people are booking a year in advance, it's like, oh, okay, this is a good thing. This is going to work. Yeah. And so it was about a year into that. And I looked at my finances and I realized I had a lot of money sitting in equity. And it started burning a hole in my pocket. Every time I build a house or I rehab a property, I think this is the last one. I'm not doing anymore. This was so much work, not only to build or rehab, but then you got to set it up and getting the processes in. But by that point, I had gotten my workflow processes down that wasn't a big deal. That's not a major deal for me.
You literally have a checklist that you just pretty much it's not going to be the same for every property, but you're going to have an understanding of where to start and how to finish.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of, put the word out that I was looking for another property. I didn't know where, but it had to be a really, really cool property for me to spend my money on. And so I had my realtor looking and I had friends looking. And one day in December, my acquaintance, longtime friend who happens to be my doppelganger.
Yeah, doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
Yeah.
Like literally people around town mistake us for each other. It's really weird. And she calls me up or she sends me a text. She goes, Tyann, I have the perfect property for you. I'm like, okay. And she sends it to me. And it's a dentist office.
Ooh, okay.
Located in a 1900s bank building with 2 original vaults.
Perfect.
And it happens.
I was gonna say, what a theme that will be. You're set. It's like we're playing a game of tennis and you're just setting it up to serve real good. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, it is the only place guests can legally launder inside a bank. Because
that's awesome.
Did you know it takes a 30-inch drill bit to go through a 27-inch vault wall.
I didn't know the exact details, but I knew it had been pretty extensive. Yeah.
It took about 90 seconds to get through.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
So I walked in and I said, this is it. And my realtor looked at me like I had two heads. She goes, what do you want to do with this? I don't understand. I said, Kim, trust me. Just trust me. Because I walked in and, I'd been looking at a couple other properties, and there's just this gut feeling I get and the peace that I get when I walk in a place and I know it's the right one. And I get in there, and even though there's this antique dental chair that looks as scary as anything, and then you've got this creepy dental artwork on the walls, but you've got the original tin ceilings, the bricks, the two vaults in there. It's just fabulous. And I said, this is it. We're buying it. And she goes, oh, by the way, the house next door comes with it too. So
wow. So the marketing brain, the marketing brain is kicking in too. I can like already see your wheels turning.
Yes. So I literally went from the closing at the title office over to the property and did a Facebook Live video showing it off. So you can see that on YouTube. And just, you walk into the town, and the guests that arrive after dark, they're a little sketchy. But when the sun rises in the morning, they say every time, oh my gosh, this place is magical. Because Marthasville, Missouri, it's a little town of 1,100 people. The flood of 93 really did a number on it. So, a lot of the Main Street area, it's called Depot Street. It looks a little run down. But across the street, you've got the MFA co-op, which is working for the farmers. So they come in with the grain and go out in silos and things like that. But right on the other side of them, so it's across the street from us, is the Katy Trail. And the Katy Trail is the longest rails to trails in the entire country at 237 miles.
Dang.
Not only that, Marthasville was the last stop of Lewis and Clark of their expedition. So as far as civilization, so they stopped at Marthasville, Charette Creek, and then went on to explore. Wow. Daniel Boone's last home is right there. The largest caramel apple, not the largest, one of the largest caramel apple companies in the country is right there with their orchards, which the owner of that company is my friend who told me about this property. And
your doppelganger?
My doppelganger. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then on top of that, we're right there at the beginning of Missouri wine country. And Missouri wine country there in the Augusta Valley was the very first dedicated wine country in the United States before Napa Valley. And then we have Hermann, Missouri, which is a massively well-known wine country area. Do you remember in the history books when they talked about this guy came over from Germany, saw an area of the United States, went back and made these brochures and told the Germans, you guys got to come over here to the United States?
I briefly remember my history teacher freshman year talking about pretty much like the start of propaganda, and that being one of them. I think if I'm not mistaken, but don't ask me much about like high school. I was the worst high school student or school student you'd ever find.
Well, maybe
if I even showed up.
Maybe some of your listeners will remember that from history, but one of the guys who did that, his name was Hermann, and now known Hermann, Missouri. So he found the Hermann area, went back to Germany, wrote up the pamphlets, said, you guys need to come to the United States and settle over here. This looks exactly like Germany. We can do the wineries, we can do the farming. So a whole bunch of them came over, and that's exactly what it is. It's a little German town. It is incredible. It has the oldest arched underground stone wine cellars in the country.
Dang.
So
there's a lot of history. There's a lot to show off too. Like I think
there is.
So you're talking about like Branson family retreats, and then you have Missouri House. So obviously you're attracting families with Branson, And then with Missouri House, are you still getting families, or is it more like the solo / couples, or like small groups of friends, etc.? Is that kind of like, I'm kind of curious to hear the demographic difference.
So the demographics for this, as you said, it is definitely different. So we're going after the folks that come down the bicycle trail. So we have a lot of through bikers, and they come from all over the world. And then there's also folks that just want a place to set up camp. This is our, base, and then go ride the bikes this way, ride the bikes that way, or just have a little escape from the city, because we're only an hour from St. Louis.
Gotcha.
So that is our target. The couples, small families, folks with dogs, because everything is dog friendly. And the bank is bigger, so it's 4 bedrooms, but we can also do just the main level with 1 bedroom. So there's also within the wineries and the area is wedding event centers. So a lot of weddings, and in our area, an average size wedding is usually 300 people. And
so not bad.
Yeah, there's not enough beds for folks in the area.
No, not
at all. So we do a lot of wedding things. And so that is generally our target, is the weddings and the wineries, just dog friendly, and the bicyclists. Still, though, the exact same core values as our Branson Family Retreats, which is to provide a space for families to create memories, grow bonds, and be a place of safety and peace.
I love that you said that, because it's leading into part of what I want to talk about as well, because we're both marketers, we're both branders, we're both kind of that creative thinker, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have your name, you have your logo, you have your website, you have your mission, your core values. For anyone listening, these are all important. So if you're not doing them, take notes. But then what is more to marketing and branding than just having a logo and website? And I'm only saying this because, or asking this question, because I may have seen our friend Arthur from StayFi and a few other people in the industry. There's more to marketing and branding than just having a logo and a website. And I think, you understand that very well. So tell us about what goes behind it in order to then get this brand known, because Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, all these platforms, they really are just marketing channels, and obviously they're showing off their brand first, and it's kind of hard to remarket when you don't have all the guest information that you need. So can you tell us why you think it's really important, or like what the importance of having more than just a website and logo is for anybody that may not understand like how capturing information and then being able to communicate your brand to your guest again is really important?
So the first thing, and I don't know if this is the answer you're looking for, but the first thing that I really encourage folks, especially when they come for consulting and ask me what should they do, is you need to share your story, your about page. I 100%
agree. Yep.
Because that story and who you are is the one thing no one else can replicate. That is what makes you stand out from anyone else. And that is also how we connect with our guests. So it's not just more of, hey, we love the lake, I grew up here, so we decided to build a place, and then you guys can stay too. It's not that. It's going deeper than that. Now, everybody's got a different comfort level of how much they want to share. But the more you can share, the more connections you make with your guest. So I even went as far as, my kids are into baseball, they're into wrestling. And I've had guests say, you know what, my kid, they play baseball too. You've got those connectors, those touch points. And as you have more touch points with your guests, the more they know you, the more they like you, the more they trust you. And the more likely they're going to hand you thousands and thousands of dollars to a complete stranger after only seeing photos on the internet. Not scam worthy at all.
Yeah,
so,
no, exactly.
It's very important for them to know who you are. And then there's that level of being transparent and being open with your guest. If something's going to go wrong, take responsibility, make sure you communicate with them. And then, as you said, getting those contact information is so important. So at first we would only get the email address from the person who's booking. And, now we get every single mailing address from the booking. They actually get a card in the mail from us. Every person gets a thank you card in the mail, and our Branson guests get a pre-arrival card with our favorite hiking trail. Something physical in their hands, because this isn't all digital. This is an experience that we're giving them. And
you're setting the stage pretty much for the grand opening for them to arrive.
Yes, exactly. And just doing that, you're wrapping your arms around them in this warm hug and saying, hey, when you're with us, you're going to be secure to know that we're not scammers. You're not going to show up to a really dirty place unless our cleaner's human and they made a huge mistake, but we'll take care of it. We promise, trust us. And you can trust us with that money you've been saving the last year, and the time. The time is the most important. And with large families, Branson, we target 3 and 4 generation families. This is a big feat to get all these folks together, and people will book 2 years in advance. So I know I'm a keeper of their family time, and I have to be very careful with that. So when they arrive, we call them on the phone. So Nat calls every single person, welcomes them, and makes sure that they know if they need anything, we're right there with them.
No, that's super important. I love how you're talking about transparency, because people, a lot of people get in, I'm listening to or in a lot of groups of real estate. People are like, best way to get cash flow in real estate is, getting long-term or short-term rentals, blah, blah, blah. Here's how you streamline the process. Great. Those are all fun things to learn and do and build a successful lifestyle for yourself. But the thing that a lot of people forget, we are in hospitality. We are a sector of lodging, accommodation, tourism, etc. All the things you're describing with, the sunset and the cheers and the attention to detail that comes into the trails and doing the notes and the pre-arrivals and the calls and all this stuff. That's hospitality. It's not it's not as what you do, it's how you make them feel. And so yes. And so this is why I'm super glad you're doing these things and you're talking about this, because there's so much more that goes into it. And it's not just so I go with this with my parents. My dad runs their Airbnbs, their short-term rentals on Airbnb. And that's always the thing I have to catch myself on. Yeah, I know. And so he always he would oh, I have an inquiry. What do I do? And I said, well, I kind of help him through, and then the less I'm trying to get to the point of what you're saying is we are real people. There's a face and we're not scammers, because Airbnb, a few other platforms, they don't show you who the guest even is until they book. So you have a name, no face, and you have maybe if they have a review or not. That's it. And so for people like my parents who have a property next to their home, that can be a little troublesome, especially when you get kind of some red flags and other stuff like that. So transparency is really key. And the more, I'm not going to go on a big tangent, but people like you who are being more transparent and more open and showing, doing more in order to get that face, that story in front of the guest is just a huge step forward. Especially with 2021 and recovery as an industry, because there's no longer that barrier between guests and providers such as property managers or whatever. So yeah, you are speaking my language. I'm just super amped up for what you're saying.
Absolutely. It's like a giant warm hug to us too, when a guest stayed to celebrate their dad's 90th birthday. And 10 years later, you get the call saying, hey, we're going to celebrate his 100th birthday and we're booking again.
Dang, that's so cool.
I know, right?
Those are stories we live for. I love that.
Exactly.
So cool.
Or this last week, we had guests who love Instagram and they were over at the bank and they were sharing on Instagram stories and tagging us all week. So we got to watch our guest week with their family for Christmas and New Year's in a non-creepy way.
Yeah.
We don't have to have cameras there or anything. We don't do that for that house. But them sharing everything and then tagging us and saying, yes, absolutely, share with your followers too. And so then we're not only sharing the magic of the area, they're sharing the magic of the area and their family experiencing it and just being a family. And then at the very, very end of the week on our Facebook page, they post a photo of their family eating the pizza from next door, because next door is the best pizza in the county. And we tell every guest that. I think 99% of guests go next door. And so they got the pizza lined up and they're all standing there in the kitchen and they big old selfie. And they said, this was our best week together as a family. They came from different states. And it just, that's my mission, is to provide that space for these families to come together. And, you know, family is a big thing. I am the oldest of 6 kids. Nat
I'm
is
the
the
youngest
youngest.
of 7. So
you're youngest. So you know this. Okay. So Nat's
the
the youngest of 6 kids. So we both come from these huge families. And when my family gets together for Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, just my parents and my siblings and their kids and everyone, we're already over 25 people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Easily.
us. You know that.
Yes.
So to me, when I see in our community the families hurting, because they don't have the time or the space to come together like this. You know, that's why we want to provide that for folks to come in and be able to have that time and space. And then our mission goes a step further. So I serve on the board of directors for CASA, the court appointed special advocates for our area. And so this past fall, I decided, you know, what can we do to help show our commitment? And we decided we would do $1 a night at every single property and make that donation to CASA. And then I did a video on Facebook Live, and then I challenged all of my friends in the vacation rental industry to do the same. It's only $1 per night.
When did you do this? And I didn't see
know
it.
You didn't see it. I did this in, I want to say November.
Okay.
Yeah. So $1 a night. And so at the end of the year, we ended up giving, we rounded up to $2,000.
Wow.
And so gave that to Franklin County CASA. And it also encouraged, and you don't have to give to our CASA in Franklin County, Missouri, although I will definitely take the money. That's part of my job as a CASA board member, is to ask for money. I'm not shy about that. You can go to franklincountykasa.com/donate to make your donation.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Yes, please do.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, the CARES Act has increased your tax credits. So I can talk to you more about that later.
Yeah.
So anyway, it also inspired others. So Heather Bayer is, making her donation according, to the charity that she supports.
Got tons of properties.
And
hundreds.
then on LinkedIn, I tagged Tom Hale, who he's with Survey Monkey now, but used to be Home Away. Yep. And so Survey Monkey made a large donation to CASA in San Francisco.
Wow.
So just seeing how one little person like me, I'm a Midwest small town girl, born in Hermann, Missouri. Hospital gave my mom a bottle of wine as congratulations, and she was only 20 years old. I can have that ripple effect. And even if it's just one family, the ripple effect from that family, and it just continues to go out. And that's why we do vacation rentals.
See, and it's one thing to create a mission statement and core values for your business, but then to see it lived out like that. I honestly, like, you were telling me that story about the family, just like experiencing the whole thing. It literally almost brings me to tears, just because like it's huge. Just like you see so many, I'm calling them obviously in 2020 COVIDpreneurs, right? Where you have so many people getting into like a business. And the one thing I think I would say a majority of people here is, create your core values, create your mission statement. But how often do you think they actually get to see it lived out? Probably not as often. So just to hear something like that, and then plus like the free marketing you get from it. And then, like you said, the ripple effect of doing good things and having that experience and, bringing humanization to hospitality, obviously is going to continue to just grow and grow and grow. So seriously, that's an amazing story. I love it so much. It's just, you're crushing it. So yeah, I don't know. Oh gosh, I think I can geek out forever. So
I know, right?
from there, I guess let me ask you one question for the audience. Let's say I've been meeting a lot of people recently that have like 3, 5, maybe 6, maybe 10, but they're still operating at a kind of like a scattered level of only doing listings, not having a PMP, or not doing like guidebooks or extra things. What are like the top like 3 steps that you think anyone listening to this episode can really start by implementing to get their brand known, but then also have action behind the brand, such as getting marketing and tools and resources for them to collect, data and information, but then also go that step further where they can add that personal touch, that core mission, that value add that you guys do with Branson Family Retreats, and then of course Missouri House.
So step 1 is to go to TyannMarcink.com/consulting and hire me for a consulting. But also poke around on my website, because on my toolbox page, I do list exactly all the softwares and tools that I use to keep my life sane. People ask me, how do you balance things? I don't balance things at all. You go to my website, it says abandoned boring. I don't like to be bored. I'd rather create a new business than clean my house. So
Amen.
Exactly. Yes. And that was the best thing I ever did, was hire a house cleaner for my personal house. Such a wonderful investment. And she gets a bonus every year. It's huge. So, okay. But besides that, the first thing is get a property management software that will
100%.
hugely
Even for one
just help
property?
you structure. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
God you said that.
Oh, I didn't do it until I had 6 properties, and I'm kicking myself, totally kicking myself. I should have done it from the very beginning. And I've talked to a lot of people and they think, oh, that's too much. I can't do $30 a month. That's just way too much. Like, dude, do you know how much time it saves you and how much your time is worth? It is major.
I spend $30 a month on my coffee for my house, so I think I can spend $30 a month to have more time to not scramble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most of them now also integrate with API integrations with all the booking platforms. So
Majority,
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And if not, you go sign up with Rentals United, and then everything's, so sorry, that's a no-brainer. That is absolute number 1 step.
We're just going on that expert level. Bringing in Rentals United.
Well, I got a whole bunch of people I can name. I know I will name all my friends, and any friends that I don't mention, I'm sorry. So
I feel it. I'm horrible, and I feel
so everybody
bad,
too.
Yeah, it's like our friends at like Noise Aware and all these other places. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry I didn't mention you at this one time where I knew I should have, but I promise.
I know. Okay, so after you got your PM set up, your property management software. After that, you need a digital guidebook. And I'm not saying that just because I'm the community ambassador for Touch Day. You can create your digital guidebook on Canva. You can create it on your own website. There's all different services you can do it. And I'll even name our competitors, Hostfully and You're Welcome and Wishbox. Touch Day, I still think is the best. But, check out what works best for you, because that is the most important thing.
Agreed.
Okay.
That's what's best for you. Yeah.
Exactly. That is the biggest thing. So get a digital guidebook. And if you notice, I said this before even getting your own website.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get those processes and the experience of your guests down before you worry about your own website.
Correct.
Okay. So,
and most of the property management softwares give you a website for free.
Exactly. And when you're ready to go a step further, create a WordPress website and drop 100%. The widgets in. And Natty Media does that, which happens to be me. I know. So
no big deal.
So the other thing is your accounting.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to have accounting. Okay. Whether you do QuickBooks, maybe QuickBooks Online, so it connects with your accountant, makes your life easier, but get an accountant, talk to your CPA. get your numbers in order. So important. And then of course there's insurance and regulations, and all that should have come before your PMS and before you bought your property. But yeah. Oh, and can I mention also education?
Yeah.
Okay, so education is huge. I know it's where everybody's just webinars out the wazoo this year. I get it. It's hard, but really pay attention to what webinars can you commit to, or what educational events you can commit to. One of the new things for 2020 is I was asked to serve on the Association of Lodging Professionals Board of Directors. And this is the national organization that started for bed and breakfast and inns, but is now also expanding to vacation rentals and short-term rentals and unique properties. Yeah. So in 2021, look for that and for them to serve you more in their education. So I will be talking 2 branding sessions in their event coming up in February. One for the aspiring lodging professionals, which is really cool because they have a whole track just for folks who aspire to get into the industry, which I have not seen anyone else do before. It's incredible. It's an entire day just for aspiring. I love that.
You'll have to connect me because that's one of my mission statement goals for the podcast is I want to inspire, I want to get the younger people, even if they're not younger, just people that want to get in the industry and provide great service. Like that's been one of my goals because when I first started, I was hungry to learn more. I started in hotels, but granted, I'm now in both worlds, but I didn't have anyone teaching me what ADR was and RevPAR and occupancy and how to like find out what a cap rate is. Like I didn't know any of this stuff and I was hungry for it. And so that's kind of like one personal mission statement. So you'll have to connect me after this. That'd be great.
I will. Yeah. Cause I mean, like last year at their event, I met someone who was on the aspiring path and her goal was 20 years from now. Oh, so she planned to take 20 years of education before going into the industry because she realized it was a lifestyle choice.
Interesting.
It's like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
One, that you know what you want to do in 20 years. I don't know where I'll be in 20 years.
Yeah. I'm like, I go day by day. Like I look at my schedule. I'm like, oh, what's on today's calendar?
What flight's on sale today? Where am I going to go? No.
Exactly.
Yes. We're all different.
Yes.
Yeah. And then of course, VR Mastered, the vacation rental boot camp that I created with Alana, and that will come back in 2022. And that's awesome. In person, intense, amazing event.
Yes. I can't wait for more in-person stuff. So thank God for that. It's like music to my ears, just in person gatherings.
Yes. I know, right? Hugs. We get to hug people.
I know.
Take selfies.
Hugs, high fives. Cheers and drinks together. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yes.
I love it. Perfect. Well, Tyann, you've been a pleasure to have on the show and just like to hear the passion. I can like obviously see it. We're virtual, but it still shines through my computer screen and through my microphone. I'm super excited that you actually got to take the time to chat with me and to bring this valuable knowledge and resources and just awesome conversation to the audience. Obviously, I'm going to link everything in the show notes. So all the extra stuff, if you have it, I would love them. And then for the audience, where can they go to right now as they're listening to this podcast? What's like the one go-to spot that you want them to go?
Everything is on TyannMarcink.com. If you go to my about page, you'll have all the different links to all my different brands and other businesses. I told you I've been boring. I've got a few other businesses. So everything is over there, as well as my consulting and things like that. And then on social media, actually in the world, just Google my name. I'm the only one out there. Easy to find. Exactly. That's why I always tell people, like, just Google Will Slickers and like, oh, there's no way that's possible. I'm like, no, it really is. So you can Google my first name. That's all you need is my first name. Tyann. You'll find me. Tyann. Now, I might not be the first. There might be some sketchy characters first. Okay. But I'm on the first page. Yes. That's good marketing right there. Yes. Awesome. Well, thanks, Tyann, for being on the show. I appreciate you so much. Slick Talkers, go check her out. Go check out all the brands. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect you to her, or you can just reach out on her website directly. Thank you again, and we'll talk very soon. Thank you.